Hello, everyone. This is Jim Biringer here, Full Press NHL. Please like this video, smash the notification button, hit that bell to stay subscribed to Full Press Hockey for the latest content coming. We're talking about the Dallas Stars and Pete DeBoer. Jim Nill, the general manager who's up for the Jim Gregory Award, announced that they have fired Pete DeBoer, who has 1 year left on his contract. There was no reason given outside of the fact that a new locker room voice was needed to bring the team to a Stanley Cup championship. That means only one thing if you read between the lines, and it's the comments that DeBoer made about franchise goaltender Jake Ottinger after the loss in Game 5 to the Edmonton Oilers in the Western Conference Final. He had some ammunition. He had a note in the back of his mind saying, hey, this guy lost 6 of 7. He's the reason why we're not in the Stanley Cup Final, not the reason why we don't get a chance. Well, Jake Ottinger never got a chance. The rest of the team got a chance to redeem themselves and failed. Right? Yeah, they made it 3-2, but goals that Casey DeSmith gave up because, well, DeBoer calls a timeout, lays into his team, Ottinger's going back to the crease, pulls him back, and then DeSmith goes in, and he sits next to Ray Ferraro the rest of the night, and he doesn't look happy. And there's a reason why the players aren't happy. Big-time players aren't happy. And, you know, you got to give credit to my man, Dave Pagnotta, who's been on the show in the fourth period, said there were some rumblings about this, and Stars ownership wasn't happy with it. The general manager clearly wasn't happy with it. The players weren't happy with it. Pete DeBoer, with those comments about, you know, he needs to be better. He's lost 6 of 7 to the Edmonton Oilers. That's dating back to last year's Western Conference Final when they lost in 6 games, including this year losing in 5 games. You know, the coach doesn't say that about a franchise goalie who signed an 8-year extension. It's getting paid over $8 million, right? That doesn't happen. That shouldn't happen. And DeBoer has 1 year left on his deal. So who are you choosing? You're choosing the player, not the coach, and it's easier to pay the coach to go away for 1 year because he could get picked up at the beginning of the season if a coaching change happens, which usually is the case. But all the coaching moves have happened. Boston hires Marco Sturm, Pittsburgh hired Dan Muse, Seattle filled their vacancy, and the list goes on. You know, we started with the Rangers and Mike Sullivan. We've documented it here. You know, whether we agree with it or not, doesn't matter. That's the position that they're in. The Islanders did the same thing. They kept their guy. So it's going to be interesting the direction that the Dallas Stars going. Not only does Pete DeBoer say it once, he doubles down on it during locker cleanout day after Jake Ottinger speaks to the media, handles it with class, owns the situation, says he needs to be better. Well, Pete DeBoer comes back and says, well, you know what? Yeah, there's still room for growth. He's still a young goalie. You know, he needs to work on some things. Again, you don't say that about a franchise goaltender. And yeah, Mikko Rantanen got him to that point. You know, again, one of the best players in the playoffs, but he went quiet. Matt Duchene went quiet. Jamie Benn went quiet. The guys that needed to carry this team didn't deliver. Once again, the Dallas Stars fail in the Western Conference Final under Pete DeBoer. It's 3 straight trips to the Western Conference Final. It's all well and good, but they lost. Been to 4 or 5 Western Conference Finals. They went to the Stanley Cup Final in 2020. But that was the COVID year. Haven't been back since. Always atop the division, 1, 2, or 3 in a Central. There's some changes coming. It starts with the head coach. Does Jay Woodcroft get in there? Do they look internally to Elaine Nazardine or one of the other assistants that they have there? Do they look to AHL and Texas Stars, bring up that coach? Again, not a lot of big-name coaches out there. They're not going to recycle, go back to Peter Laviolette, Gerard Gallant. That just doesn't feel like that's the direction that they're going in. Jay Woodcroft probably deserves another shot, but hasn't been given it. He gets there so far. Do they go DJ Smith too? Again, Duchene free agent. Jamie Benn, the captain, a free agent. Ben wants to come back, as I've reported for RG Media, but it's going to be tough, right? And these rumblings happened, right? The players were upset, as I cited earlier from Dave Pagnotta over the weekend. Something had to give in Dallas. It was either players or the coach. Can't fire all the players. Can fire the coach. It's easy, especially with 1 year left. The owners don't mind, you know, paying a coach to go away for a year. But again, Pete DeBoer can get a team so far. Conference final, great. He's 2-6 in 8 conference final appearances. He's 0-2 in a Stanley Cup final. Yeah, he's 9-0 in Game 7. Big deal. He's got to get there. And sometimes he doesn't get there. He loses in 5 and 6. He gets emotional. He doesn't stay calm, cool, like we've seen with Paul Maurice, like we've seen with Chris Knobloch, these other coaches. He gets a team only so far. And yes, he's been in the league since 2008-2009 season. Does he get another opportunity? We'll see. Some guys, they don't. Right? Gerard Gallant had a shot, and he hasn't been coaching since he left the Rangers. Right? Peter Laviolette seems to keep getting, but it's second-year Laviolette as cited on this channel. It's going to be interesting to see what the Dallas Stars do. Does Jason Robertson go on a move? Not sure that's the right move for the Dallas Stars either. You just brought in Mikko Rantanen, and I think there's other pieces that they need to move. But, summer's heating up. Silly season is here. Stay tuned for more with Full Press NHL. Jim Biringer. Remember to smash the notification button, like this video. Full Press NHL up on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts as well. Again, take care and enjoy the hot summer and the silly season that is upon us.